The Gaza Riviera. Israeli society cheers on the Gaza slaughterhouse and sees in genocide not a crime, but a utopian fantasy. Written by Chris Hedges for the Chris Hedges Report, chrishedges.substack.com, narrated by Eunice Wong. Israelis don't see the images of skeletal corpses of Palestinian children who they have starved to death as a curse. They don't see the slain families they gunned down at food hubs, designed not to deliver aid, but lure starving Palestinians into a massive concentration camp in the south of Gaza in preparation for deportation, as a war crime. Israelis don't look at the savage bombing and shelling that kill or wound dozens of Palestinian civilians, where an average of 28 children die daily, as anything extraordinary. They don't see the wasteland of Gaza, pulverized by bombs and methodically being torn down by bulldozers and excavators, leaving virtually the entire population of Gaza homeless, as barbaric. They don't see the destruction of water purification plants, decimation of hospitals and clinics where doctors and medical staff are often unable to work because they are weak from malnutrition, as savage. They don't blink at the assassinations of doctors as well as journalists, 232 of whom have been murdered for trying to document the horror. Israelis have blinded themselves morally and intellectually. They view the genocide through the lens of a bankrupt media and political class that tells them only what they want to hear and shows them only what they want to see. They're intoxicated by the power of their industrial weapons and license to kill with impunity. They are drunk on self-adulation and the fantasy that they are the vanguard of civilization. They believe that the extermination of a people, including children, condemned as human contaminants, makes the world, especially their world, a happier and safer place. They are the heirs of Pol Pot, the killers that carried out the genocides in East Timor, Rwanda, and Bosnia, and yes, the Nazis. Israel, like all genocidal states, no population since World War II has been dispossessed and starved with such speed and ruthlessness, has a final solution that would have earned the stamp of approval from Adolf Eichmann. Starvation was always the plan, the preordained final chapter of the genocide. Israel methodically set out from the beginning of the genocide to destroy sources of food, bombing bakeries and blocking food shipments into Gaza, something it has accelerated since March, when it severed nearly all food supplies. It targeted the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, on which most Palestinians depend on for food, for destruction, accusing its employees, without providing evidence, of being involved in the attacks of October 7th. This accusation was used to give funders, such as the United States, which provided $422 million to the agency in 2023, the excuse to halt financial support. Israel then banned UNRWA. Over 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli soldiers and U.S. mercenaries in the chaotic scramble to get one of the few food packages distributed during the brief blocks of time, usually an hour, at the 4 aid sites set up by the Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, according to the UN Human Rights Office. Once Gaza was turned into a moonscape after 21 months of saturation bombing, once Palestinians were forced to live in tents under crude tarps or in the open air, once clean water, food, and medical aid became nearly impossible to find, once civil society was obliterated, Israel began its grim campaign to starve the Palestinians out of Gaza. 1 in 3 people in Gaza are going multiple days without eating, according to the UN. Starvation is not a pretty sight. I covered the famine in Sudan in 1988 that took an estimated 250,000 lives. There are streaks in my lungs, scars from standing amid hundreds of Sudanese who were dying of tuberculosis. I was strong and healthy and fought off the contagion. They were weak and emaciated and did not. I watched hundreds of skeletal figures, ghosts of human beings, trudge at a glacial pace across the barren Sudanese landscape. Hyenas, accustomed to eating human flesh, routinely picked off small children. I stood over clusters of bleached human bones on the outskirts of villages where dozens of people, too weak to walk, had laid down in a group and never got up. Many were the remains of entire families. The starved lack enough calories to sustain themselves. They eat anything to survive. Animal feed, grass, leaves, insects, rodents, even dirt. They suffer from constant diarrhea. They have trouble breathing because of respiratory infections. They rip up tiny bits of food, often spoiled, and ration it in a vain attempt to hold off the gnawing hunger pains. Starvation reduces the iron needed to produce hemoglobin, a protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen from the lungs to the body, and myoglobin, a protein that provides oxygen to muscles, coupled with a lack of vitamin B1, which affects heart and brain function. Anemia sets in. The body, in essence, feeds on itself. Tissue and muscle waste away. It's impossible to regulate body temperature. Kidneys shut down, immune systems crash, vital organs atrophy, blood circulation slows, the volume of blood decreases. Infectious diseases such as typhoid, tuberculosis, and cholera become an epidemic, killing people by the thousands. It's impossible to concentrate. Emaciated victims succumb to mental and emotional withdrawal and apathy. They don't want to be touched or moved. The heart muscle is weakened. Victims, even at rest, are in a state of virtual heart failure. Wounds do not heal. Vision is impaired with cataracts, even among the young. Finally, racked by convulsions and hallucinations, the heart stops. This process can last up to 40 days for an adult. Children, the elderly, and the sick expire at faster rates. This is the future Israel has preordained for the 2 million people in Gaza. But it's not the future Israelis see. They see paradise. They see an ethno-nationalist Jewish state where Palestinians, whose land they stole and occupied, and whose people they have subjugated and forced into an apartheid existence, do not exist. They see cafes and hotels rising up, where thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of bodies lie buried under the rubble. They see tourists frolicking on the Gaza beachfront, a vision enhanced by an AI-generated video uploaded to social media by Israeli Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Ghila Gamliel. It's what a Gaza devoid of Palestinians would look like, echoing the absurdist AI video posted by Donald Trump. In the new video, carefree Israelis eat at seaside restaurants. Anchored in the sparkling Mediterranean are luxury yachts, gleaming hotels and office high-rises, including a Trump Tower, dot the beachfront. Attractive residential neighborhoods stand, where now there are broken, jagged mounds of concrete. The video shows Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife, Sarah, as well as Trump and Melania, strolling along the seaside. Gamliel, like other Israeli leaders and Trump, cynically uses the term voluntary emigration to describe the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. This omits the stark choice Israel actually offers the Palestinians: leave or die. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has called for a security annexation of the northern Gaza Strip and vowed that Gaza will become an inseparable part of the State of Israel. He made the remarks at a Knesset conference called the Gaza Riviera, From Vision to Reality, which presented proposals for the building of Jewish colonies in Gaza. Smotrich said Israel would relocate Gazans to other countries, and that Trump endorsed the plan. Israeli Minister of Heritage Amichai Eliyahu, who once proposed dropping a nuclear bomb on Gaza, declared that all Gaza will be Jewish. The Israeli government is racing ahead for Gaza to be wiped out, Eliyahu said. He described Palestinians as Nazis. Thank God we are wiping out this evil. We are pushing this population that has been educated on Mein Kampf. Genocidal killers embrace fantasies of eradicating a native population and expanding their ethno-nationalist state. The Nazis carried out their genocidal assault, which included mass starvation, on Slavs, Eastern European Jews, and other indigenous people, dismissed as Untermenschen, or subhumans. Colonists were then to be shipped to Central and Eastern Europe to Germanize the occupied territory. These killers don't reckon with the darkness they unleash. The upscale beachfront properties dreamt of by Israel will never appear, just as the modern, exclusively Serb capital, with its golden domed cathedral, imposing presidency building, 15-story clock tower, state-of-the-art medical center, and national theater with a 72-foot revolving stage, was never built on the ruins of Bosnia. Rather, there will be ugly apartment blocks, populated by the usual miscreants, proto-fascists, racists, and mediocrities who live in the Jewish colonies in the West Bank. These ultra-nationalists, who have formed rogue militias to seize Palestinian land and joined the Israeli army in murdering over 1,000 Palestinians in the West Bank since October 7th, will define Israel. They are the Israeli version of the 3 million-strong Pancasila Youth, Indonesia's equivalent of the Brown Shirts or the Hitler Youth, that in 1965 helped carry out the genocidal mayhem that left 500,000 to 1 million dead. These rogue militias, equipped with automatic weapons provided by the Israeli government, lynched Saifullah Musalet, a 20-year-old Palestinian American who was attempting to protect his family's land 2 weeks ago. He's the 5th U.S. citizen killed in the West Bank since October 7th. Once these Israeli goons and thugs are done with the Palestinians, they will turn on each other. The genocide in Gaza signals the abolition, for Israelis as well as Palestinians, of the rule of law. It marks the obliteration of even the pretense of an ethical code. Israelis are the barbarians they condemn. If there is any warped justice in this genocide, it is that Israelis, once they finish with the Palestinians, will be forced to live together in moral squalor. That was The Gaza Riviera, written by Chris Hedges, narrated by Eunice Wong. For the Chris Hedges Report, chrishedges.substack.com.